Mike from Agency of Spirits. The Oberheim OB-Mx, I believe that before it was actually called the OB-Mx, I believe Trent Reznor actually got, I don't know if it was, he got a sneak preview one or what it was, but he got a hold of one and he used it. I think it was on, I don't think it was Broken, I think it was the next one after that, but I mean that is a monster. If you want to make bass sounds, it was only I think it's got cards in it for each channel, or I mean for each voice rather, and like I think I got 2 or 4 cards in that one, but it really doesn't work. That's the problem with the old stuff like that, but it's just the bass sounds in that were amazing. Frontline Assembly is another one that actually used this, and you can hear it on a lot of their albums, like the bass sound. I hear it everything like, oh, I can make that sound, but it's like, it's not a common thing, but it's got a very beefy analog sound. It's just like one of the old, it's basically a combination between an Oberheim and a Moog. I mean, like I said, most of my stuff I use the digital, like the stuff that's actually, not digital, but rather the software-based stuff, because there's just so much stuff in Pro Tools. It's just, I mean, they keep cranking out more and more and more, and it's so efficient. And the sounds that you can get out of that stuff. I mean, a lot of the, you know, they simulate these sounds, or there's just a lot out there, and it's just like, I kind of found my way, you know, like even like my sampler. I don't use my sampler anymore because I have a sampler on there. Basically, all these boxes do is play sounds, and you know, like a lot of these digital things, like most of these are digital.
So they're digital anyway.
Yeah, they play, you know, basically pre-recorded waveforms, and then you can edit them and stuff like that. I mean, there it's all in the computer. I mean, it's the same thing. And in fact, I have a package. It doesn't work because I had a little issue with the, what do you call it, the dongle, like little key you plug in, but it's basically a Korg wave station and a bunch of other Korg products, and they're basically the same sounds. It's the same thing. It's just on the computer versus actually in the keyboard. Like the Oberheim, for example, I mean, you can see, it's like you got all the knobs and buttons right there, so you don't have to go in page after page, and a lot of the sounds on there, you know, they're very tweakable, but it's mainly bass type sounds that it's useful for. But the downside with the old analog stuff is it tends to drift. And like you'd be playing a sound and all of a sudden it drifts out of tune, and you're like, so you have to tune it up every time you turn it on. But over time the batteries died out in there, so it kind of, you know, fell by the wayside, and it can't even read the display anymore half the time, and it won't, like the patches that were saved are gone. They're still great for what they were, and a lot of them have been updated, and they've been, you know, they had the MIDI packages and, you know, built into them, and that's kind of what this is. It bridges that gap because it is an analog synth, and they built in, and you know, this one's already built that way. It was an analog synth they built with the MIDI, and it was just, it was a very powerful piece, and it's like very expandable. Like I said, you got to install voice cards on it, and if you install 8 voices in that thing and you start playing bass notes, you're gonna be playing, what the brown note, you know, that kind of thing. It's just like, it's just amazing how much power that thing has. But like, it's hard to track down parts for it anymore. So it's like, and I guess Oberheim doesn't exist anymore, at least in the incarnation that I knew it as. It was a casualty of Gibson, if I'm not mistaken.